All right, welcome back to the Facilicast, the liberal science of buildings with Jim Zerbell. Pleased to be here, and I have a special guest today. His name is Daniel Allison. Daniel is from South Carolina, and he is the creator of Manufacturing Masterminds. And we're happy to have you on, Daniel. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Jim, thanks for having me. Great to meet you. So I've been in sales and business development my entire career. I've done a variety of different things. Right now, I'm in the HVAC industry and talking to a lot of facility managers. Something that I didn't know much about this world, Jim, until about when I started in HVAC is when I started to really understand all that goes into managing a facility, which I know you know all about it. And so this has been really a manufacturing masterminds is 7 years in the business, talking to facility managers, seeing what they go through, and also construction, because one of the things we do, obviously existing facilities, but we also the company that I work for, Waldrop Mechanical, we install mechanical equipment in new construction as well. So that's why Manufacturing Masterminds. It's about all things construction and manufacturing, and so it's been exciting.
So, you're in South Carolina, and you had shared with me, and am I right? You're in Spartanburg?
I'm in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Yes, sir.
I get the sense, Daniel, that you kind of get around, and with that in mind, you had
Yes.
mentioned in the past, you had mentioned an organization that you refer to as ING, Industrial Networking Group. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that ecosystem and your relationship to that?
I was calling through my network. I was looking for my next opportunity. And someone that I called and had worked with previously, they said, "Have you ever met Chris Simmons?" And I said, "No, I believe I have." They said, "Chris Simmons has started a network group, and I think you ought to meet him." So I hung up the phone. I called Chris Simmons. He said, "Yeah, we've got this industrial network group. It's a lot of different types." He told me a little bit about it. He said, "You ought to just come and check it out." So I showed up at the next meeting, met Chris, met a lot of other different folks, including Waldrop Mechanical, that I ended up going to work with. Didn't see that coming. But Chris and I formed a relationship there, back in the networking group, back in the leads group. And we've just had a lot of fun doing different sales trainings. And Chris is the type of guy that, he probably believed in me a little bit more than I believed in myself. And so it's always good to have those sorts of folks to kind of push you out of the plane, even if you're not ready to jump. And he was flying higher and he pushed me out. And so I'm always grateful for that. Had an opportunity to meet just incredible, all sorts of different salespeople from a lot of different industries, and learn about what their products and their services, and then talking to facility managers. And so all this information has really helped me paint a very clear understanding of kind of the way that these businesses interact with each other. It's really amazing, Jim.
Yeah, I think what you just evoked makes a lot of sense, and then we'll talk about that for a second. You were kind of noting there that those that are in the sales and support end have the opportunity to engage in organizations where you are given a much broader perspective. You
Mhm.
learn the lingo, you understand the vernacular, right? The jargon. Anyway,
Yeah.
you understand all that, and it also affords an ability to see in a manner the forest despite trees. Let's also not forget that in most instances, it is the people from the vendors that actually make those associations happen in a great many manners, right? Because those are the people that have the latitude. Let's move on to ING as a whole, and what role do you play in that? And tell me a little bit about the ecosystem in terms of its structure.
Hmm. Yeah. So Industrial Network Group, I don't know the current stats on how many different chapters there are, but essentially every city, so Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, Greer, Columbia, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, let's say, Atlanta, Savannah, Augusta, these are all cities that have a chapter. And in that chapter, there will be one HVAC company. There'll be one, let's say, janitorial company. So there's not non-competing within the chapter. So that way you have a real team. And each city or each chapter has a coordinator. So I'm the coordinator for the Spartanburg chapter. And under this Spartanburg chapter, I've got 30 people on this team. It feels a little like college football or something, right? You've got a team and so it's been really, like I say, so we have this larger organization, so all of us can come together for some meetings and that sort of thing. And when everybody comes together, obviously you've got multiple HVAC companies, you've got some competitors in the room, but on a day to day or week to week basis, we operate independently, where each team is sharing information within their group, within their chapter. So my role, though, again, with Chris Simmons' leadership, who founded the Industrial Network Group, Chris has given me opportunities, and I mean, it's been mutually beneficial. So I've done some things to help support him and his group, and it's also been great for me to have those opportunities.
Got it. So with that in mind, and I think also we can probably agree that we is always smarter than me, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
so I think you
every single time I need the we. Me is not going to do it.
Right, and I think you evoked that pretty eloquently, actually, just a second ago. So, are there other associations or organizations you've had interface with in recent times? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I have attended some of the IFMA
International Facility Management Association. Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
We know them.
I've attended those. I've attended, I've got a lot of other friends that, are doing, like, they call it the sustainability happy hours is what they call it. So this is a group that talks about, obviously, conserving energy, and the sustainability word is such a hot word. Yeah. And so they put on these events, and so I get invited to a random events, but I spend a lot of my time is with the Industrial Network Group as far as my organization that I spend time with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Okay. Do you have any particular upcoming events, dates, other things that we should be aware of coming forward? And then also tell us about other casts that you might have.
So we just started in January. This new channel, Manufacturing Masterminds, started in January. We've already interviewed 5 facility managers. We've had some up to 1.5 million square feet of facility management experience, 30 years in business. These are great conversations that we're having with people who've been doing it for a long time. And what we're doing is we're asking questions that we always, we feel like there's walls between vendors and suppliers and facility managers. And so when they come in on the show, we like to break those down and just ask the common sense, logical, honest, open question and answers, and so we've just felt like there's been a lot of value there for us personally and the folks that have tuned in. We also, under this Manufacturing Masterminds channel, we do talk to some of the business development reps. So we do something called First Sip. So we're just going to have that at 7:45 in the morning. I do. I've got my right here. So I still have a little coffee from this morning, but 7:45, we save that first sip of coffee. And then we talk about sales and we talk about energy, and we start talking about getting our day going. And the reason that I did that, Jim, is because for me, I love the morning times. I love that first sip of coffee, and I love talking about sales. So it just made sense, right?
I'm honored to have Daniel Allison on today with us on the Facilicast, the Liberal Science of Buildings. We will post Daniel's contact information down below. And if you have any other questions or want to get involved in the Facilicast, please reach out to us at the FM Pipeline team as well. Jim Zerbell here. Happy to have you with us. The Liberal Science of Buildings.
Okay. Thanks, Jim.
You're welcome.
have you do, no, no, you have to use the antenna part. Yeah, it's two separate sections. The broadband will be in one shot, and then it'll. We'll give you a break.